Everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. My name is Jason, and this is the Star Report for August the 17th, 2022. And I'm coming to you here from New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in Brenham, Texas. And the Star Report has lots to report. The cosmic weather has been messing with us more intensely over the past couple days. And so we'll probably get into that a little bit. The retrogrades continue. I believe we're in 5 of them. By the end of the week, we'll be in 6 of them. And by the end of the week, we'll also be in the pre-shadow. So if we're moving into a total of 7 retrogrades, we'll be moving into pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde. So let's just jump right in and talk about why you're feeling crazy or dissociated or manic or whatever else, or why your technology's not working, or why communication's going poorly. All of the things are going on, and it seems like they're all kind of coming to a head today, but we'll see. Today is a 22 Master Day, and so 22 Master Day is just people have done the math on the date, so 8/17/2022. When you write that out, or you do that with a numerological reduction of numerology, it gets you to 22, and 22 is a master day because 11 is the energy of mastery in most esoteric practices, and then when you double that, it's also a master day. So 22 is a really powerful day, and usually has the energy to where you can start to make choices and sort of push you to do the things or grasp what you've been trying to work on. It's the time to do that last little push. And the way that sort of works is that the universe is sort of set up alchemically, that the combo of the resonance of the math and the day and the location on the planet really sort of gives you this wave of energy, right? So sound words are mathematical phrases. Most words are just symbols, and most of those symbols were just representing words and other things. And so when you put those in combo, the reason that 22 is a thing, it creates a wave. And those waves, the reason it's days to act on them, it's just like it's if you're a surfer, it's the perfect wave. Right? And you're like, oh, this is going to be a really good one to surf. And so that's what happens when you get these energetic, numerological, alchemical days that they call master days. And so that's what's really happening. And so just, if you have the energy and everything's flowing for you, just jump on the wave and go. Sometimes, if you're not used to surfing the energy of the cosmos, then it feels like it's overwhelming and you're sitting on the shore and the waves are too high. But if you sort of swim out into the ocean, you can jump on those waves and they turn into a really good ride, and they can sort of make you feel invigorated and give you lots of purpose to sort of move through life and have some movement in life instead of being stuck and getting hit by all the waves of the cosmos. You can sort of use the cosmos as a partner to do what you're trying to do in life. That being said, that's the energy of the day itself. Now, lots of things are happening in this day. Today, the sun has been erupting for the last 2 days. So there should be somewhere, I think, in the neighborhood of 6 solar flares that occurred over the last 2 days, maybe even 3 days. And solar flares is just when the sun sparks and a little bit of plasma comes off and goes Earth directed. I believe 4 or 5 of those that actually happened, the eruptions, were Earth directed. And then there's a very, very large coronal hole, and a coronal hole is almost like a sprinkler, right? So the sun spins around almost like the Earth rotates, and then it has these what they call coronal holes, which are the dark spots on the sun, and those have a broadcast almost like a sprinkler. And so when they sort of turn around, it gives a little bit of pressure, almost squeezes the Earth like that when it hits the Earth's magnetic field. And so those are usually involved in seismic kind of things when those hit, but when they hit in combination with solar flares, that's when we start to have problems on Earth that we can sort of regularly measure and notice. I was just on my Zoom call for my transformational breathwork class, my elemental rhythm breathwork class that I was doing, and the Zoom call was spotty. The music wasn't playing through, and all these kinds of things were having difficulty, and it had been something that had been happening all day. And then also the group of us that are in there, I'm down here in Texas, but most of the group is up in Alaska. And so the higher you get in longitudes, higher up you get in the United States, the closer you get to the Northern Lights and the Aurora Borealis and all that fun stuff. So that's where all the electrical energy hits. And so those communication problems would hit the upper latitudes, I think it is, harder. And so the communication, the communication through the Zoom call was a little bit interrupted. And so those are going to begin hitting today. So the reason I brought up the solar flares is they're going to begin hitting today into tomorrow, and then the coronal hole will be hitting yesterday into tomorrow, maybe even the day after. And what that causes a lot of things. So when the electrical stuff hits the human body, so it's shook the planet, it's messed with our atmosphere, it's messed with our communications. So it's going to give you a little bit of cardiac problems because your heart works on electric stuff. That's why when it stopped working, they put those paddles in it to shock it into starting, right? So all this electrical energy can sort of cause a little bit of cardiac problems if you have that or you're susceptible to that. So pay attention to that. Sometimes it's just an anxiety attack, like a heart palpitation, like it sort of feels like it gets out of rhythm and starts to beat a little faster so it can get back into rhythm. That also being said, your brain is electrochemical too. So the electrical atmosphere change with the solar flares hitting and the smoke going across the screen. With the solar flares hitting is also going to trigger if you have psychological issues where you're medicated or you sort of have to spend a lot of time managing your emotions or finding a center. Those will be heightened right now. So even what would happen with that, and I'm not a doctor or a medical doctor, so this is not medical advice, but what would happen with that, even your regular treatment would feel like it's not working. You're sort of under the weather and feel like you don't want to participate in a normal way. So watch out for that. And then emotional stuff, right? If you're just on the verge of just, you're holding it together and you're not really emotional, you haven't developed any psychological problems, this will sort of cause you to trigger maybe an emotional release, a cry, an anger. Should be paid attention to. It's the energy of the planet and most people around. This is almost like what you would expect when you would look around on a full moon, right? So the full moon, we're like, when you're on the lookout for people that might be acting erratically, then you're less likely to run into people that are acting erratically and sort of be cautious, right? It's like, hey, I don't know who's out driving right now, so I'm going to drive more careful. Just sort of have that energy about yourself. And then those of you who are having or who have autoimmune disorders like a lupus or something like that, rheumatoid arthritis, all those kinds of things will flare up, right? So you might be feeling less flexible right now, or you might be having an episode. And then I know I have a lot of customers that come in the shop that deal with migraines, or migraines that come in an irregular thing, or migraines that are caused by weather or diet and all that fun stuff. So this will sort of trigger increase in migraines. So you might have a little bit of headache, maybe starting in the back and start to turn into clusters or intense migraines. That's all because of the electrical stuff coming from the sun. So that's why I always bring the sun into this, because it will cause you to sort of have reactions to the environment you're living in that aren't you. It's the environment we live in, and it's not something you can avoid. It's something you should manage. So just pay attention to that. That's all happening today. Yay, Wednesday. And that also brings up that today is more intense energy. There's a Taurinian stellium, so the sun sign, or the astrological sign Taurus has 4 things in it: the moon, the moon's north node, Uranus, and Mars. And so that's, with all this energy, going to trigger, or Uranus is about extremes, right? So if you're feeling extreme, Uranus is sort of affecting that. Breakthroughs, so extreme breakthroughs, like you might have just epiphanies, or you might have extreme breakdowns. And then Mars is about energy and action, right? So all of the energy of the planet, all the energy of the planets, all the energy of the sun are causing you to sort of feel like, if you're not paying attention, this anxiety, like something's about to happen, something should be happening. And so when you're dealing with these things, you could have probably more than 2, but you're going to feel either really invigorated, ready for the day, or really sort of hesitant that, what's going on today, it doesn't feel right. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to interact. That could be a good feel, or a correct feeling to be having. And that's planetary involved, right? So you should sort of manage that. And intention is the number one thing that sort of works for managing energetically the cosmos. So if your intention is to ride the wave of the master day with this potential, with the moon, Uranus, and Mars giving you breakthrough energy, and the sun sort of causing these triggers, right? You should get on the wave, and then it's less of a getting hit by the wave and more of a flowing into a newness, right? And so whether that's a flow into action or that's a flow that it's calming you down while you resist or while you deal with all these things that are being triggered for you. So pay attention to that. That's this week, and then it gets pretty calm after that, mostly. Sunday, I believe, we start to enter the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde. Mercury is the planet of communication. Mercury is liquid metal that you usually have in thermometers or used to have in thermometers. And so it's this movement from one place to another of a conduit, right? And so that's why it's usually the planet of communication. So we're entering the planet of communications retrograde, which causes communication problems, right? So if you're working from home or you're teleconferencing a lot, those look for those things to continue to be interrupted because the sun is picking up, right? So this is the beginning of the sun becoming active again. And then Mercury retrograde is on the way. And so the pre-shadow is just you sort of not have that constant communication problems, but they'll arise during the day. And whether you're riding on the wave or whether you're under the wave is how you're going to feel those communication problems. So choose your words carefully. Think before you speak. Reread your emails before you send them. The energy is such that you don't want to miscommunicate what's actually going on, and you don't want to take a feeling of anger as that the words or the communications coming from the other way are necessarily what is causing the anger. And so that would be a good heads up for that. And then if that wasn't enough, I think Wednesday, so at the end of this week, we have Uranus, which is going in retrograde and adding to the planets that are already in retrograde. And so this week is going to be an intense week of energy. And so I think it's the focus would be to how can you use that energy for your benefit? How can you use that energy to make it okay to interact, to go on with your daily life? And the easiest way to do that, to find balance in these times, is what I call the balance breath. I think I tried to give it to you a couple of weeks ago, and the microphone with Zoom doesn't like to have you breathe. It tries to filter out mouth breathing. But that's really the only way you can sort of hear what's going on with the breath. And anyway, so what I want you to do, if you're sort of feeling under it, like the waves are getting you, you want to get on top of the waves. You want to start to surf. You're going to use your air and your lungs to surf, right? You're going to pick a pace. And the easiest pace to sort of find, which is going to feel like slowing down your breathing to most people. Most of us breathe about 18 times. I think it's 18 times a minute. So we're really shallow breathing, and we're usually chest breathing. I think you can hear that. I can hear it in my headphones, but I could hear it in my headphones last time anyway. So that sort of dog panting breath where we get up into the thing and then it really gets rapid when we get stressed. That's the thing that you want to avoid. And so we want to slow down. We want to nose breathe, right? So the nose breathe is going to trigger nitrous oxide in our body more. And it's going to sort of regulate our parasympathetic nervous system. That nitrous oxide is going to get a sense of delivery and relaxation to the muscles when you breathe in the nose. And so we want to breathe in and out of the nose to produce even more nitrous oxide to have us at that cooled out rate so that we can ride the waves with the energy coming in instead of trying to match or not get hit by the waves of the cosmos by breathing too heavy and fast. And so we want to breathe about 5.5 seconds in, maybe 6 seconds in. And when we breathe those 5.5 seconds in the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then out the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you do that. You can do it for 5 minutes. You can do it for 20 minutes. You can just sort of catch yourself when you're feeling stressed and do that for several minutes when you catch yourself having a stressful part of the day. And that's going to balance you out so that if you're during 5.5 seconds, you're going to do about 5.5 breaths a minute. And that's going to be a perfect rate. That's going to be a centering breath rate for you. And that's going to make your body calm so that you are more aware of the energies that are going on around you. And your body is not being swayed necessarily by everybody else's reaction to the cosmos, but it's riding the waves of the cosmos. Because when you breathe in that when you breathe in the nose, when you breathe in that air, that oxygen, it's understood spiritually to be prana, right? So if the cosmos is energy and you breathe in that energy into the self and you're regulating yourself on how much you bring in and how often you bring it in, And then all the things, the retrogrades, the solar flares that come into the body on an energy wave through the breath are going to be more regulated because you're bringing them in at a pace. Your body is appropriating them and going, oh, that's what's happening, and then you're breathing it out. And then at the same time, you're producing that extra nitrous oxide so that it gets delivered to the cells, so that the extremities of the body are feeling it, not just the center, not just your heart regulation, not just your lungs being more full. And so that would be my advice to you for this intense week, to do a 5.5 in, 5.5 out in breath. So 5.5 seconds in, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 out, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. And then do that for 5 to 20 minutes, almost like a meditation. And you'll be sort of amazed at the breakthroughs that you'll have with that information that starts to regulate in your mind and how it starts to balance even pain, but also thought and emotion during that. So I think that's everything, which is a lot. So I hope you enjoyed the reports. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Go ahead and find us on newdimensionscrystals.com if you want to come into the shop and see where we are. And then also if you want to book an appointment to speak with me in person, you can book those online as well. There is vacation coming up for myself, which is not vacation, it's a working vacation. So I believe it's in 2.5 weeks. The store will be closed the September the 5th through the 11th, I think, while I go to Denver to go to the Denver Rock and Gem Festival convention thing, show. There we go. They call it a show. And purchase rocks for the year for the shop. So I'm booked up pretty booked up till that time. So go ahead and look online if you need to get in and see me in the shop and help you regulate some of this stuff. And book online while you can. It should be only the available ones that are there, because I think I've blocked out the times I'm going to be gone. So go ahead and look for those. And into the meantime, many blessings.